Hello, Millwall fans. Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
Post-match analysis for Chat with Chaps, sponsored by Spectrum VR, where it finished at the Den. Millwall 1, Leicester City 0. Another 3 points in the bag, another clean sheet, another win at home, and another good performance, a very good performance. And we're really starting to click, and all of a sudden we look like a very, very good side indeed. Leicester, I think, tons of individual talent when they can be up for it, but a side that don't really look like much of a team, a side that is clearly lacking in a central striker. But certainly gave us a bit of a test in the first 15, 20 minutes. They were looking to obviously try and put rights to wrongs from their poor defeat on Tuesday. And I was worried, could we go again? This same group that are giving absolutely everything, but they did. And another super performance. And we're going to get into it, but we look such a threat. We've got talent all over the pitch. I think we look as balanced as we have done in a long time. And the back four were just outstanding. And we're going to get into it. It was a genuine pleasure yesterday. I actually treated Mrs. Chaps. I actually saw a number of you. So Dennis, Mick, and Barry, good to have a chat with you yesterday. And by the way, Barry, thank you for your kind donation. And Dennis, thank you as well for, obviously, I know we're going to have a chat. But yeah, sometimes the generosity of you guys blows my mind. So thank you very, very much. And of course, if you are new to the channel, look below. This is my new fancy little background. I'm very proud of it, if I say so myself. We are sponsored by Spectrum VR, and everything we do goes to Cancer Research UK. So if you're a Leicester City fan listening to this, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a comment. It all helps the algorithm, and all the money we make from said algorithms goes straight into Cancer Research UK. This is your call to action to like. Please hit that like button. Okay, right. So, as I said, I'm beaming. I had such a good day yesterday. Took Mrs. Chaps to the exec lounge. Yeah, I know how to treat a woman. We went into Doherty's. We had a bit of a date night last night, so we went up to London. So we didn't want to eat, but we wanted to try out the new sort of Doherty's area. So first time I've been in there for a game, and I have to say I've really enjoyed it. Really, really did enjoy it. I think the seat was really good. Obviously, you get a free pint as you go in. You get a little pie at half time, sort of hot drinks, and it's just a really nice like pub atmosphere. And you can order food. We ordered, I think it was like a Scotch egg, and it was really quite nice. I think they've got that blend spot on, to be fair. Not sure on the other two, the sort of more premium things with 3 and 5 course meals. I can't comment on them. But the Doherty's experience for me, would I want to do it every week? I don't know. But as a one-off, I thought it was brilliant. And I thought the staff were excellent. So I don't know if anyone at Millwall is listening to this, but more than happy to share my feedback. But overall, very, very, very positive experience. And obviously, it was lovely to speak to a number of you, as I already mentioned. So so that was great. And Mrs. Chaps enjoyed it. She can come again because we won again with her in attendance. So yes, let's get into the actual game and what matters. So this was a difficult one, and I said that the first goal will be crucial, and it ended up being the only goal. But I think it was crucial in the way that the second half was, because they were chasing the game, and I think it did end up being a really kind of crucial turning point, scoring at the right time again. But the teams, so I think for us, obviously, the lineup that was put out was, it's fairly consistent, with obviously Smallbone now getting injured. Don't know how long he's out for, but I would imagine it's going to be a long one, unfortunately. But I thought Kundal coming in did very, very well. So the team was obviously Max Crope in goal, back four, Ryan Leonard, Tristan Crammer, Jake Cooper, and Zach Sturge. He went with Casper Denor and Derek Mazusako again. Billy Mitchell on the bench. Kundal just behind Mihailo Ivanovic. Langstaff was back on the bench. And then on the wide areas, of course, it was a familiar Femi Aziz and Tiano Ballo. So, yeah, and some good options on the bench now, right? And this is even with some of the injuries we've got. And the fact that the likes of Alfie Doughty doesn't even get off the bench, I think tells you we are in a world of a different place compared to sort of 18 months ago. For Leicester, they did have a bit of a reshuffle because they were incredibly poor in the first half away at Hull. Tried to get back into the game, and the manager come under fire for some of his omissions, shall we say, for some of the selections on Tuesday. So he did shuffle his pack a little bit. So obviously their captain, Ricardo, came in right back. Monga came in. And of course, the very dangerous Fatawu down that right-hand side. And I think for Leicester fans listen to this, for me, I think you've got some very, very good individual talent. I think at times they probably think they're better than they are. I'm looking at Monga and I'm looking at Fatawu. But nonetheless, very, very, very good individual talent. But I think work rate isn't necessarily there. And I think I've never seen a team that are lacking more of a central striker. It is bang obvious for me. But I don't think Leicester were that bad yesterday. I really don't. I know a lot of Leicester fans, obviously they were booing their team at full time. I don't think they were terrible at all. I just think that we were more up for it. And we inflicted our game plan on you. The first sort of 10 minutes, which we'll talk about, I think Leicester certainly were in the ascendancy, again, without ever really cracking anything clear cut. And I think Cifuentes come out and sort of talked about how we are a set piece team. And I don't know what game he was watching. Yes, we utilise those tools, but any good team should. But ultimately, I think that we outfought Leicester. I think that some of our passages of play was excellent, to be totally honest. I thought we knocked some really good stuff around in tight spaces. It's one of the talking points I've got at the end. And given the amount that this team has given in the last 3 weeks without much, last 3 games without much rotation, the fact that they've gone again and given everything, I think is just testimony to the characters that we have in the dressing room, which I think some of the Leicester lads could learn from. By the way, Leicester, Luke Thomas, I know you've given him a 4-year deal, but he was dreadful for you yesterday. Femi Aziz, obviously a man in form, but he won't come up against many easier games, I think, from his perspective. Anyway, so they're the teams and just a few notes on Leicester. As I say, give me your thoughts in the comments if you are listening to this. So, first couple of minutes, they were really at it. And I've noted down here, and it wasn't on the extended highlights, but I've noted down here, both Sturge and Crammer a double block after a really good break from them. They really seemed at it. I think Fatawu was causing all sorts of problems. And I think the first 10 minutes, they were the better side. But I think from minute 10 onwards, they weren't. I think Cifuentes quoted sort of 20 minutes that we started to grow into the game. I disagree because we had our first big chance on 11 minutes where, again, teams just playing around at the back. They give it away. I think was it Casper intercepted? I can't quite recall. And a good save low down, fairly comfortable. But again, it's a first warning sign of what Femi Aziz was going to be about again all day long. Then they have the ball in the box, and I think good defending by Crammer, I think, to get the first contact. And then Denor just to sort of put off Fatawu at the back post as he sort of miskicks it and it goes over the bar. On 18 minutes, again, they make a mistake playing out with the back. I think it's Harry Winks who misses the ball. Femi then again drives on 18 minutes and a sort of a save down low, but the keeper doesn't hold on to it. And unfortunately, it just doesn't fall to us and they clear their lines. Again, Aziz. By the way, I want to make sure this comes across the right way. For me, Femi Aziz was not man of the match yesterday. I know he get it again, and he got it on Tuesday, and that's 2 games now where I don't think he's been man of the match. He was brilliant again yesterday, but at times he did make some wrong decisions. And I just want to make sure I'm being really clear here. He was brilliant. He is a phenomenal player. In my opinion, he's already worth his £10 million plus. He is brilliant. And I quote from a Leicester forum. Monga and Fatawu, both sadly arrogant little shits, should be forced to sit down and watch Aziz for an entire month and see how somebody with similar skill but enormous difference of having brains play. I also would put work rate into that as well. So I just want to, I'm going to talk later about Femi Aziz, but he did make some wrong decisions. And there was one here where he gets the ball and Leonard is trying to overlap, but unfortunately Aziz doesn't take it. The ball then goes over to Ballo, who finds Sturge, who was always an option yesterday. I thought he was brilliant going forward in particular. And then the Kundal tries to play a 1-2 and the move breaks down. But there was an option that Femi could have taken it on the right-hand side. Where else are we here? The midfield battle, at times in the first half, I felt they were winning, which obviously it doesn't matter now. But I think, at the end of the day, this is going to happen when they're playing three in the middle there. And what was happening is Kundal was trying to drop deep, but that was leaving Mikhailo quite isolated. A really small thing that I loved on 26 minutes, and it didn't amount in a chance. It wasn't necessarily anything to write home about, but I think it just shows the mentality. So Derek gets the ball here, and I think it's recycled from a corner. He's got it quite deep, and he's got no options. So what does he try and do? He tries to beat the man, and he just says, "I'm going to drive. I'm going to go forward." And I love that because he's got the athleticism to do that. So it was just a really small thing, but I just love the mentality of that confidence and that awareness to look around. I don't have options. Okay, I'm going to drive forward with the ball. Cooper gets booked. Leonard, I'm going to talk about Leonard in a moment because I think he's a key talking point. I thought he was phenomenal yesterday. On minute 33, I'm screaming at Mihailo to get in the box. I'll talk about Mihailo now, actually. I thought yesterday was a brilliant performance. I thought Mihailo was very good against Stoke. I didn't think he was great yesterday. Now, look, we won the game and no one had a bad game. But if I'm looking at where there are opportunities to improve, which we always should be, Mihailo, for me, and it's nothing to do with his penalty. We'll talk about that later. But I still want to see more from his all-round game. Yes, he was up against two absolute units. But there's times where I just want to see more from him in terms of that willingness and that drive to get in the box. Thought he was brilliant against Stoke. Thought he regressed a little bit yesterday. And at times he was quite anonymous. Now, don't get me wrong. Is that up to him or up to us to get him more involved in the game? I do think we look a lot better with a 10 playing alongside a central striker. I thought that we really got our press right in the first half, which is why we kept making the team cock up. And obviously, we are the best pressing team in the league factually. So you could see that. On 38, Cooper, a rare error, sort of steps out, misjudges it. Fatawu then able to kind of drive at the defense, and he just takes a wild shot. Now, this is again where Fatawu, a player clearly with Premier League quality, actually, but the amount of times he just shot from anywhere, because I know he scored a worldie, was it against Charlton? And he's got it in his locker, but it's not going to be every single week. And I think that just sort of demonstrates, I think, where Leicester are. There seems to be a lot of arrogance, I think, in some of their forward players. And I think if I was talking to someone sitting next to me yesterday, a lot of talent and a lot of individuals, but maybe not a team. On 40 minutes, some really nice play here. Some really good sort of build-up with Casper. Sort of ball went wide, but unfortunately the final third, it sort of broke down. And this is where you're starting to think, where is it going to be one of those days again where we just can't get that first goal? However, we do. And it was poetry in motion. If you actually watch it back, it starts from Max Crocombe. Then we've got the ball at the back. Obviously, Leicester not particularly high press inside. So Crammer and Cooper sort of get themselves out, and then Cooper's able to step out with the ball, and he does really well. He kind of drives, and it's funny because on the highlights you can hear people screaming, going, keep going, keep going. So he drives forwards, and then the ball kind of eventually falls to Casper, and this is as good as Billy Mitchell's balls were over the top. This was just as good. They're obviously something that they're working on in training, which is brilliant, and Femi's movement is outstanding. And again, this isn't easy. The ball's coming over the top. He's got to control it, get there ahead of the defender, out-muscle him, which Luke Thomas, he didn't really put up too much of a fight. And then lift it over the keeper. It's brilliant. And listen, if we score a goal like that every single game, I will not tire of watching that sort of move. It was a super ball, great run from Femi again, super timing, great control, great finish. And to score right on the heart on the stroke of half time is exactly when you want to do that. 44 minutes, absolutely amazing. And obviously to go in at half time with a 1-0 lead was brilliant. And did we deserve a 1-0 lead by half time? Possibly. I would say the first half was really tight. I think if anyone deserved it, it was probably us, but it was a tight first half. I will be frank about that. And my concern was, could we keep the energy up in the second half? You know, I think, again, we're asking a lot of these players, and at the moment, touch wood, I mean, we don't know what we don't know, but we haven't got an injury, unless anyone's screaming at me right now saying, yeah, we have, that has been caused by playing players too long. But that was my concern. And that's one thing, if I can say with Alex Neil, he is, and he mentioned it after the game, actually, he is really pushing players to their physical limits. But now we've got a week's break. So hopefully we can look to go again away at Oxford, Gary Rowett's Oxford, by the way, on Saturday. I missed the first 5 minutes because my wife takes too long to drink her half-time drink. So completely her fault, not mine. I can happily down a pint very, very quickly, but the missus couldn't down her wine, bless her. So we missed the first 5. So I don't know what happened in the first 5. But on 53, superb defending by Tristan, a really dangerous ball. Felt Ballo was beaten too easily here, for once, by the way. Ball comes across and Tristan gets first contact, heads it over the bar with Vestergaard lurking. Then from the corner, Okoli wins the header and was sort of narrowly wide. Then again, Leicester playing yourselves into danger, but again, us having the work rate, the commitment, and the talent to make the most of it. So Femi robs Luke Thomas of the ball. Again, really, really poor from him. And then drives into the box. And Harry Winks gives away a penalty. It is 100% a penalty. I don't think anyone could ever say it wasn't. Wins the penalty. And do you know what I love about Femi at the minute is just the expressions and emotions on his face. So he wins that penalty and he gets up and it's like he scored a goal. He knows what he's delivered for the team. He is a guy that is absolutely loving his football. And can I just say, that is a pleasure to see when you see someone loving playing for your football club as much as Femi Aziz clearly does at the minute. I don't know, like it to me, that's just amazing. And long may it continue. Even little things against Stoke on Tuesday, when I think he was sort of bantering with Alex Neil about coming off or not. When he scores a goal at the end, he's, you know, it's we're not don't get me wrong, we're not a club that likes all the sort of fist pumping and all that stuff. We're not, right? And I don't want us to be. But this is so organic from Femi. It's like sometimes he's not even doing it to the crowd. He's just, and that's kind of what I love. So I just wanted to state that because I'd noticed it. I know a few of you have as well. I've seen it on various forums and things, and it's brilliant to see players really enjoying playing their football. So I just wanted to mention that. So the penalty from Mikhailo, I don't think is a particularly good one. It's not at a good height and it's not right in the corner. Does that have a bearing on where I think he played today? No, it don't. That's an isolated thing. It's a poor penalty. You move on. And he looked dejected after that, actually. And at the end of the game, he sort of sunk to his knees. Now, I don't know. That could just be tiredness and exhaustion because he wasn't the only one. But he stayed down for a long time. And I don't know whether there is just something not quite right with his mentality at the minute. You know, we've obviously given him a new contract. I don't know what's going on with Mihailo. He seemed to be back to his best after Stoke. And then yesterday, not so much. At the minute, we don't really have another option unless we put Langstaff on. I was surprised Langstaff didn't come on towards the end, actually, just to sort of do the running elements. But But yes, we missed the penalty and a golden opportunity to obviously go 2-0 up. And then the game is in the balance, right? And to manage the game from that point, I think the players deserve so much credit. And there were so many individual battles that we just won. On 57, the ball was played down the channel. It's a foot race between Tristan Crammer and Jordan Ayew. And Tristan Crammer beats him all ends up and then obviously gets the ball and deals with it. That was one. I'm going to talk about so many other isolated incidents. 66, Fatawu gets past Sturge, but excellent covering from Tristan again. He just reads the game so well. You know, the Millwall Maldini, as he's now being coined, my man of the match. He was phenomenal yesterday, Tristan Crammer. Just exceptional. The whole back four was, but for me, he was head and shoulders, and I think it was one of the best performances. He just first contacts. He's quick. He can read the game. He's just got everything. He is a phenomenal player, and I personally think, and I think it's got a lot to do, with Femi Aziz coming back into the side. But the way we now play the right-hand side, it's a different system. I think Tristan Crammer has looked excellent at centre-back. Because I said before, I think he had a high setting at right-back. And I'm happy to say that maybe I was wrong. And I think he's just an exceptional player. And whether you play him at centre-back or right-back, I don't know. And massive credit to the recruitment team for bringing him in. On 58, Femi does well after some really good play from Kundal, actually in the middle, sort of swivels, finds Denor. Denor then plays it out to Femi on the right-hand side, and then a nice bit of play, but it sort of comes to nothing. They then went for it at the back. So they did go for it, right? You know, they went for it at the back. In the end, they sort of brought on Mavididi, they brought on Patson Daka. They threw all their options at it. And this is why I think we have to give so much credit to our lads, because they dealt with so many different shapes, formations, systems, and they cope with all of it. We make some subs on, I think, was it 60, 68? I'm not sure. I think Billy comes on for Casper, who I think we just needed to get a bit of some sort of fresh legs. On 72, just reading my notes here. Good play. Yeah, so we got the ball here, and we end up with two crosses, one from Sturge, one from Leonard. And this is really, really good because we're 72 minutes into the game and our fullbacks are still pressing high and trying to get the ball into the box. This ends up with Aziz blazing over the bar. But I loved the fact that yesterday Sturge was always an option. Going forwards, I think he's excellent, and he's 21 and he's played a handful of championship games. His ceiling is so high. Yes, at times he makes some mistakes and he got caught out a couple of times yesterday, but he's playing up against Fatawu. Fatawu and Manhoff, 2 games. You're not going to get too many challenges as big as that. And I think Zach is coming through all of these. On an 85 minutes, I've noted down here, you kind of got, this is Zach Sturge in a nutshell. Superb covering on 85. I'd encourage you to watch this back. The ball's played forwards. He comes across, brilliant defending, brilliant awareness. He covers. Then he kicks the ball too far ahead of him and they reclaim possession. And then what does he do? Gets into the penalty area and a great sliding tackle. That there is Zach Sturge. He's going to do some really amazing things. He's going to do some things that aren't, that he gets caught out a little bit, but then he goes and wins that tackle. I just think he's going to be a Premier League left back. And I think he's now got into the side ahead of Joe Bryan, and we now just need to continue to play him, continue to watch him develop and grow. And what I love about it as well, he is quite clearly just such a good lad. And I'm delighted because he seems so happy here, and I'm sure he had many options in the summer. So I'm just brilliant that he's here with us and that he chose us, and that that kind of faith is being repaid. 80 minutes again. The pace from Crammer. I don't know if it was up against Mavididi this time. Timing of the tackle, and then we win a throw in. He was just phenomenal. 81 minutes. Ballo does really well down the left-hand side. Could potentially play in Negley, but again, we win a corner. Cooper was in on the act here, sort of flicking it over, I think, to Sturge. They have a so-called penalty claim on 84. Not for me. For Tawi went down too easily, as he did most of the game. He needs to learn to stay on his feet. 88 minutes I've written down here, Ryan Leonard. I want to talk about Ryan Leonard now, actually. This one is going a little bit long, but I've got tons to talk about. 88 minutes, Ryan Leonard goes down, wins a free kick. 94 minutes, Ryan Leonard, superb sliding tackle. 95 minutes, Ryan Leonard goes mad at Imaku for not tracking and gifting them their best chance of the game on 95, which came from Patson Daka's header. So this is what Ryan Leonard brings. The cleverness and awareness to know how to win these little free kicks, which slows the game down. Number one, 94, he loves a tackle. And that was a phenomenally timed tackle on 94. It takes the sting out of the game. It gets the crowd up. You can't underestimate these little things. And then if you watch it back, he goes mental at Imaku, who he's fresh, right? And he's kind of just jogging back here. Imaku does end up making up for it with a really good sliding tackle a minute later. But Leonard absolutely lays into him here. And I love it. I thought he was superb, Ryan Leonard, yesterday. Not man of the match because I thought Crammer was, but I thought he was right up there. And he just brings so much. And I think many people doubted whether he could continue to play consistent games at this level up against the types of players. But again, yesterday, he dealt with, I think, 3 different wingers in different formations. I thought he was phenomenal. And he brings so much to this team. And I think what we are now seeing is a system that works because you've got, when we had Negley on the right-hand side, Negley, and this is, I think, under instruction, Negley would tuck in, which meant that we needed a right back that would go up and down and maraud, which is why Tristan was the better option there. However, what we've now got is Aziz, who does stay wide and actually then runs in centrally from the right, but he hugs the touchline, which doesn't necessarily mean we need always someone to overlap. That fits Leonard because Leonard can overlap at times, but he doesn't have to do it more all the time. And actually, his one-on-one defending ability and his pace over 50 yards is as good as anyone in the league. And of course, when the ball does go through the over Leonard, Tristan has got the pace and awareness to then clean up in that channel. So that right-hand side now is so effective. And if we can keep those 3 players fit, I think we're going to really batter teams down that right-hand side. And then the options we've got down the left with, obviously, Ballo, Sturge, Doughty, Brian. It's just unbelievable. Where the ref got 6 minutes from, I don't know. There was a few sort of backs to the wall moments where there were lots of balls into the box. But again, you can rely on Coops, Crammer to be the first man to the ball. Of course, I've already talked about 95 minutes where they had their chance, which was a tame effort in the end. And on 97, we could have sealed it, but a really tired shot from Femi Aziz. And then the ref finally blew after 98 minutes. Don't know where he got the 6 from. Overall, just a super performance. I thought we were brilliant. And I think overall, I think we probably deserve more than a goal in that. Couple of other talking points then that I've not already talked about. Casper De Norre, I want to give him a real special mention. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was brilliant. He put 10 passes into the final third today. I can't remember the last time I've seen that stat from a Millwall so-called holding midfielder. I thought that was brilliant. I thought he was excellent. And and again, it must be something they're working on in training, but the first thing he does is looks to get the ball out of his feet and find Femi Aziz. And I thought that combination today was brilliant. So a special mention for Casper. Another thing as well, and again, I think all players need to take credit for this, but I feel so much more comfortable now with us having the ball in tight spaces. We can seem to we've got the players that have the technical ability to get out of these situations, whether it's Crammer having the ability on the ball, Kundal, again, really good in tight spaces, one-touch passing, Ballo. It's so refreshing for us to be able to have the technical ability, but also with the work rate. And Alex Neil obviously talks a bit about how amazing this dressing room is. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We can't take this for granted. Look at what Leicester are dishing up. They do not have the same dressing room, the same work rate, the same mentality where everyone is fighting for everything. I felt, yes, it was a sellout, but I actually thought it wasn't until the sort of final 10 minutes where we started to kind of pull our weight and started to sing and started to give the players that little bit they needed. But I certainly feel we did that in the last 5-10. But again, it's things like Leonard crunching into tackles that gets the crowd up. Love the Alex Neil post-match. I said it when we got him. So I'm glad that I'm still saying this, that he's the perfect fit for us. He's not Millwall, but in terms of the characteristics that make a Millwall man, he's got all of that. You know, he doesn't try to play phenomenal ticky-tacky football, but he does try to play football, but it's with a hard press and intensity. He plays players to their strengths. He's very honest in his interviews. He comes from a working class background. Obviously, we have a good affiliation with Scottish manager. I mean, it's just, it is all positive at the minute. And I think we just need as fans to know, if we don't go to Oxford and beat Gary Rowett's Oxford, then that's okay, because we're not going to win every single game. But we've now got 6 games, which I think are going to really tell us where we are as a side, because in my opinion, there's 6 games that are on paper a lot easier than the 6 games we've just had. You know, you've got home games against Preston, decent side, but again, winnable. I don't fear anyone. We've got the likes of Sheffield Wednesday at home. I think we've got is it Southampton at home. You know, we've got away trips to sort of Birmingham and Oxford. So these are games that are winnable. And I would like to see us, if we can get somehow 12 points from the next 6 games, 4 wins, which is doable based on current form, I think we'll really start to see what this side is about. But at the moment, sitting pretty in third. We've now got a positive goal difference. And just how crucial is it that we score that first goal? I think I need to look up the stats of when we scored the first goal, what our results have been versus when we haven't. Because I think that is a huge element for us. You see a very, very different Millwall side when we concede versus when we don't. And I think when we keep a clean sheet, we are unstoppable. I've gone on a lot there, but just want to say thank you again to Dennis. I was actually a little bit lost for words when he came over and did what he did yesterday. So Dennis, thank you, mate, if you listen to this, and we'll get that sorted. We've got tons of content coming out for you. Obviously, no midweek game this week, but Angelo's analysis will be out very soon. I know this is a little bit late, so apologies, but I'm going to get this out hopefully Sunday lunchtime. Angelo's analysis will be out. Of course, we'll have the midweek live, and then we have an exclusive interview with a football agent that will be coming out in 2 parts, because we often put shows out in one part as a long one. And the reason for that is because we being really honest, the analytics tell us that if we do it in 2 parts, we have a drop off in the second one and people don't tune into the second one. But we're going to try it again. And we're going to put out an interview with a really, really good interview with a football agent, which I think will be a real eye-opener for some of us. Certainly was for me. I'll leave it there. Millwall fans, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you as always for listening. And of course, as always, bye for now.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.